Andrea Beck here, registered dietitian, personal trainer, talking about sports, being outside, kids, staying hydrated, not getting dehydrated, just that topic. So we are totally midsummer, and I wanted to just discuss that. It's no surprise that I'm going to preach a lot about water. It is so helpful in your kids' activities to not be dehydrated. One, to not send them to the ER, but also just to not have headaches, to not be sluggish, to be able to perform at their best by being hydrated. So with summer heat, especially if you are here in Oklahoma watching this or anywhere where it's super hot, humid, we sweat a lot. You can't rely on adding in water just at the event. So like for instance, just maybe having like juice in the morning or pops or sweet teas, Gatorades during the day, and then just getting to the event and then giving water, it's too late. Like your kid is more likely to get dehydrated if you go into the event being dehydrated. So that water is accumulative in the body, especially in this heat. So not only do you need to be pushing water all day, but all week. Seriously, like the body will just help and store that water, use that water, and then you go into the event being hydrated, and then you can stay being hydrated. So I really push that all year round, of course, for my kids to have water, but especially during these summer times where it's so hot and they're sweating so much, and then we're going outside for hours at a time to perform in some type of sport, and hot. So think about that, not just the day of the event, not just the time of the event, day of the event, the week of the event. Let them drink that water. Sports, electrolytes. I love these Nuun tablets. I pack these in our baseball bags and our soccer bags. They're so convenient because then I can just throw one of these in there, and then I make it a rule that they alternate the water with the electrolyte tablet. So they have to drink one full water bottle, and then when that's empty, I fill it back up. I drop an electrolyte tablet in it, let it dissolve, and then that's their electrolyte. Alternate. Because as you guys know, as sports parents, that you can be outside in that heat for hours at a time. So it's not just kind of a one drink thing. It's trying to alternate the two. So then they don't just need a ton of electrolytes. They need it because of their sweating. So they're losing their electrolytes, their potassium, their sodium in their sweat. So you're replacing that, but then you're also giving the water. So then that way they're equally staying hydrated. So you don't want to rely only on electrolytes, but in the summer heat, you also don't want to rely only on water, especially if they're out there for hours and sweating it out. With electrolytes, I personally don't give Gatorade, whether it's the regular, whether it's the zero, whether it's Powerade, whether it's Prime, because of all the other ingredients in there. So you're going to have one of two options. You're either going to have one that's loaded with sugar, or you're going to have one that's loaded with fake sugars. So when I'm looking on the ingredient list, one, I'm looking for the word cane sugar. Did they literally just dump sugar into the product? My kid at that time isn't needing a sugar replacement. They're needing an electrolyte replacement. Yes, the sugar tastes good, but that's not the job of the electrolyte. The electrolyte's job is to replace the electrolytes lost. They don't need that sugar at the time. The sugar can even just make it harder on them at that time, especially on their bellies, if they're out running and doing that. So Gatorade has, to me, Gatorade and Subway are like the top of the top with marketing people. They have done an amazing job of selling their product as a health product. When you watch Gatorade commercials, if you really pay attention to them, you'll notice that they are extreme athletes that are using Gatorade. They're not even their original intention. I say that, but their original marketing was not ever to children, was not ever to somebody just mowing their yard, or just selling it as a drink. It was for extreme sports. And then it just kind of was like, well, if I drink Gatorade, I'll be an extreme athlete or something. Like, it doesn't turn you into one. So all the amount of sugar and the dyes in Gatorade is not a great one. Also with the fake sugars, it's just chemicals. And I don't want it for myself as an adult, but I especially don't want it for my children, where their bodies are growing, their brains are growing, and their liver and their kidneys. And so all of these things are trying to happen, and then we're dumping chemicals in them. And so I don't think that that is said enough of what those really are. So when I'm looking on the ingredient list, I'm still also looking for the word sucralose, or I'm looking for the word aspartame. Both of those are not real. They are made in a plant by a man. And so kind of my rule is, not 100, just not 24/7, but my rule across the board is did man make it or did God make it? And so if man made this product, God did not make our bodies to break it down. So our bodies aren't breaking it down. So it's wrecking our hormones, skin, cravings. It's making us crave even more sugar because we're tasting the sugar, but there's no sugar there. But it tells our brain that there is. So then we just crave more sugar. It gives more work on the liver and the kidneys that are trying to break down these chemicals. Like, why are you ingesting chemicals? I don't even know what these are. So our bodies are not meant to break those down, but especially not our little babies. So I am a huge advocate of trying my best to watch how much that they get that in, because I don't want them to get it in at all. But of course, there are things that they're at where I'm not there or in control, and so that is life. But when you are looking at it, look at that for your children to see if it has that or not. So when I'm looking at the Nuun tablets, this one is sweetened with stevia. I am perfectly fine with stevia. Stevia comes from a plant itself. The plant itself tastes sweet, so they remove the plant and you're getting that. This also has beet juice for color. You really don't taste it, but they are putting that in for the color. So there's no dyes, there's no chemicals to it at all. And there's even some little bit of avocado oil. So I love this. It's one of the most natural ones I've been able to find. For me, even I'll either do one of these, post run, or even in Celtic salt. But my kids won't do the Celtic salt. It's pretty salty, but they do love these. So look into these, throw them in your bag, throw them in the sports bag, make sure they alternate water, electrolyte, water, electrolyte. I also love these little sports beans. I've used these for years when training for half marathons, and it kind of hit me as my boys were getting a little older. Why don't I give them to them? Because oftentimes, kids in the dugout were eating Skittles or jelly beans or, whatever the candy was. And, they're kind of wanting that sugar. And I'd much rather them have that quick energy sugar than something that is full of dyes and chemicals and all the other additives. This is also has like lemon juice from puree, orange juice from puree, pear juice from concentrate. So it has quite a bit of that stuff in there as well. It also does have does have cane sugar. So if they're going to have something that's going to be quick energy sugar, I'd rather them get it from this than from candy. So on the back, it says energize with 1 pack 30 minutes before activity, use additional as needed, replenish with 1 pack after activity, always consume with water. My kids right now, I'm making this video, they're 5 and 8, so I don't give them a whole pack. If I'm personally out doing 8, 10 or plus miles, then I'm going to definitely take these with me and through the course eat them while running. But for them, I'm typically giving them 4 between each game. So maybe 4 at the warm up, they play their game, 4 during the break, play their game. So it does give them that quick energy. It's not something that you eat way beforehand, 30 minutes before, if not even right before, because it does give them that quick energy that is helpful for running and staying in it, and just having some quick energy. So that is always an option too. I keep these in their bags as well. They know when they're if they're feeling tired or hot, they know what they can reach for. So my goal is to kind of get them in that routine to where I'm not always having to remind them what to grab. So really trying to stay away from pop, of course. It's either, again, just loaded with sugar or fake sugar, but it also has a lot of phosphoric acid in there, caramel coloring that's linked to cancers, like just so much. But it's also dehydrating. So the caffeine and the phosphoric acid is not only dehydrating, but that phosphoric acid is also pulling minerals out of their bones, which is making their bones weaker. So it's one, it's not giving you the water to be hydrated, and two, it's making it worse by dehydrating them. So when you give them something like pop or sweet tea, it's pulling water out of their body, so that's not beneficial. So if you're dehydrating the kid and not giving water, then they're really not going to be able to perform at their best during the event. So I'm not an advocate of pop at all, especially on event day, event time, but I mean really at all. So anytime that we're giving them just pure juice or pop or sweet tea, that liquid sugar is the number one reason why we have so much diabetes in children now, unfortunately. We're seeing it even more if they're not obese. So they maybe say they're active, but they're drinking a ton of liquid sugar. So when you drink sugar, the body doesn't have to break it down very long. There's nothing to really break down. It's just liquid sugar, and it goes straight to your bloodstream, spiking the blood sugar. So one, we get that spike in our blood sugar, but after the spike, what comes is a crash. So then they want more sugar. And so that's also hard on the kid. But it's really putting their little pancreas on overdrive when they drink a pop. So 1 8-ounce pop has the amount of sugar that they need in an entire day. An entire day. So a kid should have no more than 25 grams of added sugar in a day. So if they're getting it from one drink and candy, and maybe they grab a snow cone, and maybe there's dessert later, and maybe there's another, maybe there's a Gatorade. I mean, they're getting 40, 50, 60 plus grams of added sugar in their day on average. And so it makes sense why there's so much more diabetes in children than ever before, but their little pancreas just cannot keep up with that amount of added sugar. It's trying to process that amount of added sugar, and it literally just can't keep up, and then it stops producing insulin like it should and leads to diabetes or pre-diabetes, or low blood sugars on the other side of it. So stay away from the liquid sugar, especially pop, the caffeine, the sugar, the caramel coloring, the phosphoric acid, all of it. Dehydrating, fake sugars, liquid sugars, all the reasons why. Same with the Gatorade, which I explained. The sports beans, the Nuun tablets, alternating your water all week long, not just the day of the event and not just at the time of the event. So hope that helps. Let me know of any questions at all with that. This was kind of mainly about drinks, but just one other little side note is taking fruit is really helpful as well. So that can be great because of the water content. Grapes, watermelon, high water content, but then they're also getting natural sugar that way from the fruit itself, which is going to be great for the activity. It's going to give them that same kind of fast, quick energy. Bananas, it doesn't take a whole lot to digest that kind of fruit. That doesn't have a lot of skin, not high fiber, more water. And you also get water out of the fruit content. So the great snacks to pack for the day instead of sugar. All right, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Good luck at whatever your kid is doing in their activity. Bye.